the NAFTAA Podcast.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
NAFTAA Podcast, we are back. It is episode 230, 40, 50. We got the full team in the building. We weren't sure that was going to happen, but everyone is here. Michael, Dylan, Nick, and myself. A lot to get into. First things first, if you're new to the show and to the YouTube, I am indeed the small man with a microphone criticizing Taylor Swift and her inability to create songs that have to do with anything but a breakup. As I was educated this week, that is not the case and not how she creates music, but it is me. It's been a wild week. I don't know if you guys read any of those comments.
You're definitely the problem.
I am the problem. It is me, for sure.
I am they all love me. It's never been a more... I know they say don't read the comments on the internet, but boy, like I've never had more of like I still got it type of feeling.
Yeah. I mean, Dylan, you just like I happily married, but if we'd have known that just having a podcast where I would make fun of Taylor Swift and you would defend her would give you so much clout in the womanly world, I think we would have done this a long, long time ago.
It went more viral than some of our brand TikToks, is what our marketing team told me. So
yeah.
Absolutely. Not the worst place to be.
Absolutely. All right. Interesting episode here. We are doing something a little bit different. We have a lot to get into. We're going to do our Dudes of the Week, obviously. Team USA played Trinidad and Tobago. And as every matchup with TNT, no fireworks. Nothing happened. There's nothing to talk about. Everton also got in a little bit of trouble, which is supposedly making other fans of other teams a little bit worried. And then we'll do our predictions and the bets. But what you're going to hear in this episode is a conversation I'm having with the head of the New York Sky Blues, Spencer Schwartz. We're going to try to do this kind of moving forward on the later in the week episodes. We've deemed certain games of the week. Obviously, this week we got the Whittaker Brother Derby with Liverpool and City. So we tried our best to get a representative of both teams on here. The City guy came through. The Liverpool, New York-based guy just kind of ghosted me at the end. So we'll see how that works out. Maybe I can get him back. Do you think there's anything to read into there by that, guys?
Yep, for sure.
What do you think that is?
I don't know, whatever you think it is.
No, okay, cool. I thought you'd have some insight or some funny quip. I guess not. Regardless, the audio on that one's going to be a little funky, but bear with it, and hopefully that's something that we can do in the future for the games of the week. But, guys, like always, let's open it up. Let's do our Dudes of the Week. Since I'm facing 115 charges and I'm going to get relegated into the Isthmian National League next season, I'm going to go first. Dylan, since you're the heartthrob of the podcast now, go ahead and go second. Nick, hit up third. And Michael, since you brought nothing to the table when put on the spot there about the Liverpool guy, you're going to go last. So, how's that work? Cool?
Peachy.
Go for it.
Love to hear it. All right. My first Dude of the Week, it's a little tongue-in-cheek, but I do think we're going to get into this, and I do want to give him some plaudits. I'm going to go with Triple G, Greg Berhalter. It's not for what you think. I think it's for actually going out the second game against TNT and doing a different lineup. Low bar here for me, but the fact that he had Pepe and Balogun on the field at the same time, brother, that's growth, and shout out to you, my friend. So, Triple G, Greg Berhalter.
I hate you so much. My Dude of the Week is Sergio Ramos. El Clasico's still alive and well. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but at the Latina Grammys, Shakira won an award, and he came out and presented the award to Shakira. So old rivalries don't die, and I love it.
Yeah, also hit her with that Dos Besos double kiss on the cheek. PK's kicking himself right now, literally. So good call on that one, Dylan. Nick.
My dude of the week is Gio Reyna, because he no longer is the firestorm and headline of the drama of the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Sergino Dest. Michael.
I got the back-to-back, so I'll go first with Darwin Núñez, goal and an assist, beating Argentina with Uruguay. I think it's the first time in like fucking 1,000 years that they beat Argentina and Brazil the same year. So shout out to him, and then I'll go right back. No favoritism here. Luis Diaz, 2 goals against Brazil with Colombia to beat them as well after his dad finally got released and was in the stands. It was pretty sick to see.
Yeah, that's actually a cool video. No bias here. That's actually a pretty sick video to see his dad celebrating. Nick, return leg, what you got?
Italy, because they finally figured out how to pay off FIFA again, and they found a way to get into Euros by match fixing. Good job.
You think they match fixed against Ukraine?
Did you see the penalty that should have been called in the last minutes of the game?
No.
Yeah, look, Nick and I, I'm sure, are going to butt heads here in a few minutes on a couple different topics, but he's never been more right. The garlic farmers are at it again. And Mudryk, as much as we don't like him as a podcast, that was a penalty for sure. Dylan, who you got?
Probably my favorite player on the men's national team at the moment, Anthony Robinson. Just piss missile after piss missile. Absolute legend. Plays great defense, even better offense. So he might get called up to Chelsea with the way he's scoring. Actually, I guess United at this point.
Yeah. That's true. That's the best scoring defense in the land. I got doubles. Michael, absolutely correct. Darwin Núñez needs a shout-out. But if there's one guy that needs an even bigger shout-out, it's the forgotten saint of South American football. It's Marcelo Bielsa, coach of Uruguay with the 2 wins, like you mentioned, over Argentina and Brazil. And then again, let's go Team USA-wise. Shout out to Tyler Adams, having a baby. Just feel-good stories, you know? That's all we're here for. So shout out to him and his girlfriend, wife, whoever she may be.
I'm going to have to go with physios. Oh, sorry, Dylan.
Well, yeah. Jumping the gun.
Sorry, I zoned out. Go ahead. Sorry. I was looking up a stat. Go, Dylan. Sorry, buddy.
My final dude of the week is my old Capitone, Ruben Neves. Congratulations. You can come back to the Premier League now. So
apparently.
Really happy for him to save Newcastle's season.
Look, I mean, we're going to get into this, I know it, but the Premier League's got some interesting rulings here lately. It sounds like there might be siphoning some money on their end, too, from a piff of sorts. We'll have to see. Nick, I hear you want to shout out the physios. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I apologize. I just heard a long pause. I was like, oh, it's my cue to speak. I'm going to shout out the physios. As if you guys checked the chat, it came out yesterday that there were about an 80% uptick in injuries in the past year after the World Cup. So those men and women have been working overtime over the last 12 months.
I actually feel like if you got fired in the last 12 months and you're a physio, you might be able to sue for wrongful termination. You're overworked.
That's fair. It's an extra 8 days on average per athlete.
So not even your fault. Blame it on Qatar and the World Cup.
Yeah, 2034 should go well.
Yeah, exactly. Michael, bring us home.
The last one, Dylan kind of brought it in. I'm shouting out the other 13 Premier League teams who voted against doing what Man City, Man United, Sheffield, Wolves even. Sorry, Dylan, you guys voted for it as well. Allowing people to loan people within their own little team, group, whatever. We know who the snakes are, you know.
Yep, absolutely. And let's get into that, knowing who the snakes are. Michael, one of your rivals, not Man City yet, just got docked 10 points. What happened?
So I don't think this is gonna like pertain to you guys too much, but it's basically just for the 3 seasons ending 21-22, like that COVID period. They just spent too much, and they literally was just spending beyond their means. That's the only charge that they have, and they got docked 10 points, and they're still not bottom of the Premier League, and they're like not a good. They weren't like a good team in particular, but that's just. I think it's the best thing that could happen to them, truthfully.
Losing 10 points?
Yeah, I want to hear this one.
Right now, yeah, because if they tried to like go like fight it and then it got pushed and pushed and pushed till like next season, you might not find 3 worst teams next season.
I guess I can see the through line there. It's the best season for them to get docked 10 points is essentially what you're saying.
Yeah, for sure.
I think this helps my bet about having like the 3 bottom teams have the least amount of points still somehow. But
I think it does not affect your bet at all. I don't think they're going to be bottom.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be in the bottom 3, sorry.
I think that's fair. Yeah, so just one charge, minus 10 points. I think it's the most points that a team's ever been docked in the Premier League. I know that the Tuckers have thoughts on this too. I'll let you fight over who wants to go next on this and just roll.
Well, I talked to a friend of the pod, Everton fan, Hank, and his direct quote is, "There's never been a better time to be an Everton fan than right now." For the fact that any press is good press, and the fact that he was getting buzz on his phone from ESPN reporting about this, he thought was, something that was a big deal for him, as well as his phone popping off at 6 a.m. from 4 different people just talking about Everton. So I think part of that optimism is coming from what Michael called out. However, the added wrinkle to this is there's another 9 points that might be coming Everton's way that's about to get deducted. Because if you didn't see, everyone else, basically the Leicester, Burnley, Leeds, and I think Southampton group that is suing Everton over this for losing out on revenue. And if they somehow win, they will go into administration, which will be another 9-point deduction. So at this point, I think there's a chance that even with that, they could still survive with how bad some of these teams are. But ultimately, you could have 10 points in the hole this year, and they could be starting at -9 next year if they survive. So still some murky shit happening. And
let me pose the question then real quick.
Whoa.
They're at 4 right now. If they lose another 9, they're at -5. You got Burnley at 4. You got Sheffield at 5. You got Luton at 6. You got Bournemouth at 9. So then that gap becomes from them to safety 10. How many points can they lose where then you're like, all right, they're going to get relegated?
20.
They'd have to lose. So they're already going to lose like 19 total.
Yeah.
Well, they could potentially.
Let's say they do.
Right. So the total amount, they have to lose 30 points.
You think 30?
You think that many? I think that I think them going down 19 is where I wouldn't be shocked if they stay up, but it's like last day of the season staying up, as opposed to now. Not spoiler alert. I think they get out of it by the end of this week.
No, it'd have to be like 30. Like 25 to 30 is the range for me.
That's
Hang on, wait. So Dylan, the other teams that got relegated are suing them because they should have been staying. They should have been up
for the profit loss. So
they
like
lost. Yeah,
they have to win that case. But like if they somehow lose and have to pay out, I think it's like $30 million. Like Everton will go into administration.
You know who they need? There's only one person that can take them out of this. One person with this kind of experience.
City's
Man
lawyers.
City's lawyer.
I was going to say Wayne Rooney, but that guy probably is great too.
Well, he still got relegated, but yeah.
I mean, it was a hell of a. If you check, it was a hell of a run that he did with Turk.
Yeah. Horseshoes and hand grenades, though, Nick.
I just want to.
Who cares?
I just want to say, I know for people who like maybe are stumbling on this and they see behind me a Darwin Núñez jersey and a Liverpool picture. I'm not trying to be funny. This is not how I want to see Everton go down. I want them to just lose, and like deserve it. But
I don't think anyone's questioning you on this because you're saying they got to lose 26 more points or some shit for them to go down, dude. Like
25.
This is the
Dude.
highest I've ever seen you on Everton in 3 years. Like, are you kidding me?
you have to understand how, like, and I'm sure you guys do to a degree. They're not close to being as bad as those 3 teams, even however many games into the season, and it will only, like, it's camaraderie. It's literally like everybody like that. To a degree, they'll get close, and then all those teams will go, fuck, are we really about to lose relegation to a team who's docked 25 points? And then everything sets in. It's not just finishing bottom, it's literally finishing behind a team who lost 25 points.
The part that's crazy is coming out of this, if you're scared as a City fan, John, the 2 things I saw is a 30-point deduction, which is wild considering that there's way more issues at your club, let's put it, until they're proven to be guilty. I'll give you that. But
alleged charges.
But the funny thing is, like, you guys losing 30 points, you could still probably finish in a Europe spot. Where, like, it just needs to be automatic relegation to put you down. That's the part that's more wild to me if it ends up happening this City.
If they get 30 points and they go to -2, let's just say it happens, like, this week, where do they finish in the table?
6th.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I do want to shout out, though, Everton's press release that made it very clear that they are looking at you in Chelsea. That was one of the best parts of the whole entire thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, we were going back and forth about it while texting, and I got so upset that I started watching Ted Lasso, and I don't find that show to be very good at all. But it's still alleged. It's still innocent until proven guilty. I do have to reevaluate maybe some of my fandom and my priorities if it comes out to be true. I don't know if it's being a better fan sticking with them or being a better fan and being like, well, this is bullshit. I don't want any other team to do this either. So,
well, to that point, I did ask Hank if they get relegated from this, if he would come join me as a Wolf supporter, and he told me he will flat out be boycotting the Premier League and will only watch the Championship all the way through.
He's going to end up like that Sheffield United fan on the Whole Lot of Wolves podcast.
Correct.
That guy is terrible.
But for different reasons.
They won the game. They won the game, too.
Yeah, that was painful.
I needed a follow-up interview from that guy.
I know. I kind of want to hit up our friends over there and be like, are you going to have him back on, please? Just be like, what the fuck? Nick, you wanted to add in something here?
Yeah, well, first, just real quick, Hank could totally play that role like that guy did really well. But yeah, no, just because you brought up the group chat the other day, I just want to say that this is karma because, for you guys to reach our level, you had to cheat and steal and bribe. So did you really get to our level? I don't think you really did. So I just kind of been feeling that over the last couple of days, but what I'm curious about is, Michael, let me have this troll, please. Just let me have this troll.
I'm just saying. I'm just claiming my next spot.
I think we're all about to turn on Nick.
But I am interested to see if they do get relegated, what that does with the contracts and the language, because I think it would be freaking wild to watch Erling Haaland and Phil Foden and all these guys in the Championship. I would make sure I have the Championship package. I would watch that.
You do
every day.
It's called ESPN Plus. I know you have it.
All right. Well, then I would just watch it more often then.
You guys probably share it. I don't know if they'll end up in the Championship. I feel like
no, they won't.
I'm saying I think if we get relegated, I literally think it's going to be like a death penalty. That'll be an SMU situation. Like I think we'll be down in in the National League or some shit.
Let me ask you a question then. Is it more important that the players? What's more impactful, if the players leave or if Pep leaves, if they go down?
If it's true, Pep's gone anyway. He was like, if this is true, I'm leaving. I'm out. A lot of the allegations were before him. Just to be clear, a lot of the allegations, the timeline on them were before he was even there. So it was a lot of Mancini and it was a lot beforehand. He'll be gone. He's the most important part. He's proven that last year he won the Premier League and was like, I just don't want to have a striker. I don't want to do that. Like, he's the most important aspect to this. He'll be gone, and I hope the players leave. Like, I hope Phil Foden goes and plays for West Ham or Brighton or probably Liverpool. But, like, they didn't do this. They didn't ask for any of this.
One more question, then Michael can go, sorry, is, am I allowed to make a PowerPoint like I made for Caroline to buy for your fandom, but it has to be one of our 3 clubs?
I know who he choose.
Yeah. There's only 2 options here, and I would consider both, but I think it'd be more fun to be with Dylan. Like, it'd be more fun to sweat the shit out.
Something you've had yet to do.
Until you're sweating it out.
Yeah.
No,
What are you
it just gives you
talking
gray
about?
hair and shingles. It's okay.
Sounds great.
We got a vaccine for that.
Not till you're 60.
50. But so John, the thing is, and this is an opinion I've always had with you guys. I'm a little bit not on the side of Nick in this case because it's not the player's fault, like you said. It's those players on the field, arguably one of the, if not the best Premier League team ever. Okay, it's the manner in which you were able to get those players to all be on the same team at the same time that is arguably questionable. So I think it's actually real fucked up if you wouldn't let them go because they have nothing to do with it, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'll put my hat in the ring here. I think within not this season, but by the end of next season, for sure, you will not be in the Premier League.
I don't think I don't have any way to prove you wrong because
bold prediction.
Yeah, I guess so. You could throw that in there. None of us are attorneys. Our dad was, but none of us are attorneys. And
He looked at it.
I got a feeling that like there's got to be a loophole somewhere. Is like Wall will say.
115 loopholes?
Man, I don't know. We'll see.
The only thing that's really an issue too for you is that it's not just the Premier League.
I'll just put it this way. I think we all know what's going to happen. They're not going to do anything. City's not going to get in trouble. It's poor Everton because they're getting made example so that way the Premier League can say they did something and at least have. I guess actually let me backtrack a second. Nothing's going to happen because nothing ever happens to the big clubs ever, and it's bullshit. But I think the Premier League actually going down on Everton might be so there's a precedent set to try and get City, but nothing's going to happen.
I could see that. I actually think that is a better prediction where it's like the loophole that City would have is, okay, if we're found guilty of this, it's unprecedented, so how can we say that any punishment fits the crime because it's never happened before? The fact that they put a crime and a punishment in writing, I do think corners City a little bit. Again, not an attorney, but Michael, just to address I think what you said, like I feel like the UEFA charges we've already been kind of told like, hey, don't do that again. I think that's okay. When's the new ones come out?
So I just literally watched a TIFO video on it 2 days ago.
Damn, they are much smarter than we are, so it's probably still true.
Yeah,
well,
you
we'll
thought
see.
you had me, but okay.
No,
I saw it in your eyes. I can tell. I'm your brother.
yeah, okay, all right, Michael. All right,
Gotta get up pretty early.
Still pissed off about the earlier comment. City's in a lot of trouble. I think Chelsea's in a lot of trouble. The one thing I will say, and you can't get me off. Spurs too. You can't get me off this mount. Again, if you go back and look at the charges, they happened before Pep was there. And
Can we just?
I don't think Pep should bear the brunt of any of this.
Can we just
It's
agree
not.
that?
It's going to be the club.
Yeah.
What
Can
did
we
you say,
just
Michael?
Oh, sorry, I'm bad.
It's the club. Like they're. It's
Yeah.
not. This isn't a indictment on Sean Dyche. He wasn't. I don't think he was managing them
Fair.
By the end of 21.
Yeah.
So it's just the club. Like it's the same thing as like the Michigan thing to an extent, where when they gave him Harbaugh the suspension, they literally said, "You are the face of Michigan, so therefore, like,
eat it.
You have to be like the fall guy, right?"
Yeah.
And in this case, it's not even going to be Pep. He's not going to get suspended. It's just the club is going to lose X amount of points or drop the leagues. Nothing to do with him.
Yeah. Nothing to do with Pep. I will say, too, before we move on to Trinidad and Tobago and the Team USA, Coach Harbaugh actually did know.
He had to have. There's no way.
There's no way he didn't know.
I don't give a fuck about this shit. Yeah. I have so many Michigan friends and Ohio State friends arguing in group chats constantly. I could care less. I want this game to be over and done with. I don't care, but he definitely knew. You can't, honest to God, tell me he didn't fucking know.
Yeah. Speaking of controversy, Team USA, they're in the quarterfinal of the Nations League A Championship. This is such a mouthful. The CONCACAF Nation League A Championship quarterfinal. They're playing familiar foe Trinidad and Tobago. We had 2 legs. We ended up winning 4-2 on aggregate, and that was not without, like I said, controversy. Game 1, a 3-0 win against TNT. Goals coming from Pepe in the 82nd, Robinson in the 86th, and Gio Reyna in the 89th. This all happened after a red card was given to Noah Powder, great name for Trinidad and Tobago, in the 38th minute, and Team USA struggled to break through until late into the game. But, not to be outdone, they traveled to Trinidad and Tobago to have the second leg, a 2-1 win for TNT there. Robinson opened the scoring in the 25th minute to give them a 1-0 lead, but then Sergino Dest, I'm sure we'll get into this, went fucking insane in the 39th minute. Trinidad and Tobago scored really quickly after that in the 43rd, and then again in the 57th minute. I'll give my quick 2 cents here real quick. Great talking. Neither one of these games were real games because of the down a man. Like, I hate when you get 2 games in a window and they just get turned on their head really quickly in both instances. But this was not a fun Team USA to watch both times, either or. And I will plant this seed right now because I want to come back to it later. I'm not saying he shouldn't be the starter, but the people that were anti-Stephen better have the same energy for Matt Turner right now, losing his starting job at Forest, and literally going back and watching those goals. First one, I'll give him a little bit of a slide. The second goal is totally his fault. Just should have saved it. So, my 2 cents. Dylan, you wanted to start us off?
Yeah, I'm on to... Oh, man.
You can go, Michael.
Okay, because I don't really have much to say. I'm Team Horvath now, for sure, 100%. Only concerning thing, 82nd minute, 84th, and then whatever, the end of the first game, and then 25th minute for Robinson. We scored 4 goals in 33 minutes, and the rest of the time we didn't fucking do anything. Kind of just, in 180 minutes, that's all we looked kind of threatening, whatever. I'm not a kick him to the curb person at all. I think there's obviously a path for redemption for anybody in any kind of situation for the most part. Sergino Dest needs to probably not play for a minute because it was pretty unbelievable.
Yeah,
what he did.
Let me put a visual to it before we pass it over to Dylan. Apparently, he's up the pitch. Now, I watched it, but he's up the pitch. He got fouled. They didn't call it. He was pretty upset about that. I think a minute or so later, he tries to save the ball from going out on the far sideline. He thinks it doesn't go out. The referee, who did not call a foul earlier, calls it out. And my God, he punted a ball that would make Pat McAfee happy. Out of the stadium.
Takeo spiked that shit into the stand.
He definitely kicked it, and then he said, "For the brand," right there. But kept arguing with the referee. Blew him kisses. Got a quick double yellow. And I will say
that was crazy.
Yeah, quickest double yellow I've ever seen. But I will say this. I've been kind of thinking, like, maybe it's time to not have Tim Ream start, just because you got to figure out who your center back pairing is going to be for some of these big games coming up. But I was really glad he was there for this, because he got absolutely right in his face, and I think the post-game interview that he gave was very on point and made sense. But, you know, just to give our listeners who did not watch the game some insight to what happened. Dylan?
Okay, here are all of my thoughts. Is positives. We're in Copa America officially. Can't say that for, at this point they don't play yet, but let's see if we can guess the future. Might not be able to say that for our neighbors to the south at the moment. So it was ugly. Trinidad and Tobago is our bogey team. It's a shame we can't win there. It's absurd. But I will appease you. I think that is the worst I've seen Matt Turner play in recent memory. I agree that I think he should have done better on both goals. I think the first goal was a team thing where I think part of the issue with Sergino was the selfishness to just lose your head there when you're already up 4-0, and then on top of that, you, I think, put the team more pissed off at him from where Ream went at him and Matt Turner went at him and kind of try to, like, actually be leaders and whip them into shape. But I think there was a lost focus, which led to that first goal, which is an issue in its own right there as well. I also agree with Michael. Luckily, he is suspended for the next round of this, so he can't play for a minute, which is a good thing in that sense, but a bad thing because when he's not being an asshole, he's phenomenal on the field for us.
So good.
Like, he had an assist in that game and a red card, and the last time someone in the U.S. did that was also him this year against Mexico. So, like, we need to figure out the whole just stop being a baby and sort and, like, lose your head stuff. And I think that's part of the problem we've seen at some of the club team level as well for him, which is a shame. The other part is you made Triple G one of your dudes of the week. I was very happy going to that game for trying something new. I completely agree. However, 2 or 3 things here for why he still sucks. 1, we've had 10 away games in CONCACAF under Berhalter. Do you want to guess what his record is? Strictly away.
Tell us.
1, 4, and 5. We've lost 5, drawn 4. He's won once. Do you know when that last win came?
Do not know.
2021. So you're telling me that we're going to compete with these players, with this coach, and beat teams that we're saying we should be able to beat, yet we, away, can't do anything. Like, if you lose to Mexico and Canada every once in a while, like, I get it, right? You have your draws in there because it's CONCACAF. But the fact that we can't take care of business at Trinidad and Tobago or, I don't know, Barbados, Costa Rica, wherever you want to say we're playing, is absurd.
Spin zone.
That's
Spin
number.
zone.
Okay, spin zone.
Copa America and World Cup at home.
Touche, but like that's really bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was kidding.
And Dylan, I agree with you that the defense is so critical, especially in away games, to be more gritty, more solid, and more tough and consistent. You know, where away games, obviously attacking comes a little bit tougher. That was my point, is that I think the defense, especially in the World Cup, the last year has been absolutely pitiful. You know, one, clearly Sergino Dest is spending too much time in Italy. You saw the hands he was giving them, you know. But I'm going to make a statement here. I think that there are 5, maybe 6 players you keep and you build around, and then you get rid of everybody else and you start new. I think you keep Reyna. I think you think keep Pulisic. I'd say Musa, McKinney, Balogun, and maybe Aronson. I think those are the 5. I said maybe Aronson or maybe you throw Pepe in it, but those are the 5 guys for sure that I said first that you build the team around, get a whole new back 4, and you got to figure out the wings a little bit better. But I think that
we don't have there's no financial fair play in
this is the thing. We have the depth, but Nick, we have the depth, Nick. Like, the problem is where I'm going with the coach, and here's
He's horrible. He's wearing outfits on the side.
But like, I agree with when you brought up the Tim Ream thing. I think Tim Ream's great. I think he's great for leadership, all that type of stuff. But in 2026, is he truly going to be our center back when it comes to age? Probably not. Which is where you need to like see like Vickers and Robinson and all of them playing together.
Robinson's not a defender. He's not a defender.
We have
Which
two
one?
on the team. I was talking to MLS Robinson, who plays center back.
Good talk. Sorry.
Anyway, so, and also Scally should get some run too, because I actually like Scally, and we can see what he can do. But Sergino Dest is a difference maker, which is why he just needs to cool his head and figure out. But my other point with Berhalter sucking is we're up 4-0 in a second leg. We lose our right back, and he still keeps the double striker 9s up there. And I get that, Reyna, they said he was supposed to come out, which is fine. But how do you not make the tactical decision to realize, let's get stronger in the back and just see this game out, it is what it is, type of thing, instead of, nope, let's keep testing things out. So in that case, he is not a dude of the week. He is a dickhead of the week. He sucks. And ultimately, it's going to come down to, the problem is, like, you can't reset. I want us to win, and I want us to do well in Copa America, so I'm sure he'll be here forever. But, like, if I don't know, whatever. We have too much talent to screw this up for 2026, and he sucks.
Yeah.
Michael, I'm done.
Just the thing, like, we can't, like, sell these guys to another country. Like, they're on the team. And, like, Robinson, regardless of what you think left back or right back or defender should be, he's our best left back. Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. Sergino Dest is one of our best players. Obviously, like, I know we can sit here and we can go assist and red card in 2 games. He has a problem. But, like, the Mexico thing, yeah, it was like, don't do that, but you kind of got it. You're kind of like, okay, that's within reason. This one was, like, completely just fucking out of nowhere, which is fine. Like, you got to deal with that, and he has to not do that shit again. But he definitely shouldn't be playing. I'm not even saying just the next game because he's suspended for a minute. Like, he needs to, like, kind of earn his spot back. But this isn't like, somebody doesn't work and we get rid of him. Like, we have to try to make these guys
figure it out,
work all the way around. And, like, Tim Ream's, like, not going to not be playing a role. I don't want him to be the center back in 2026, but he's definitely going to be there, I have to imagine.
Which is good for the locker room.
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually would like Tim Ream to be an assistant coach at some point. Look.
You love that shit.
I want to also be aware, though, that no one, Barcelona, Milan, Ajax, no one has been able to get through to this guy. Huh?
PSV.
Yes.
He was at Ajax before.
He was.
He was.
John's right.
Oh, I thought you were going in order.
No. He's at Ajax before. He's at PSV now, so they're still trying to figure it out now. But no one's been able to get through this guy, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this. There is not a team in South America that won't look at that tape and try to get under his skin.
It'll get so CONCACAF-y with them.
You're talking about the land of Diego Simeone because we're playing one of these big teams. We're probably either going to play Brazil or Argentina at the very least. And that's the first thing I'm doing. The first thing I'm doing is getting in his head the moment I step on that field, if I can. And brings me to my next point. You got to work with what you got. You got to work with, and he is the best right back we have. I do want to see Joe Scally play. He's the best right back we have. But where this team is at right now, we can't beat a team in South America. Venezuela is doing very well, and they're usually one of the worst teams. We cannot beat Peru. We can't beat Venezuela. And I don't think Greg, the problem that I see in the future for us is I think we totally choke in Copa. We don't do well at all. Then Greg's fired, and then we start back over. And it just is fucked. Like, it just is like, then we're fucked for 2026.
Jose.
I don't
Pep,
know.
Pep. Send City down and give us Pep.
Yeah. Then you guys all have to thank me. It's like, John, sacrifice yourself for the good of the country.
Oh my God.
But John, you're not wrong. But John, you're not wrong though. Like, that's the part of where we can't root for a tank, and ultimately we want them to do well. But I don't disagree. Like, where we sit right now, and I hope they surprise us. But like, it's not. I wouldn't say it's completely fucked if we screw up in Copa and they fire Greg. Like, you still have 2 years. That's a lot of time to figure out, because ultimately, like, you're not learning a full system on the national team level at that point. It's more you need a coach who actually can make the right moves and make the right subs and put the right players in the position that's to succeed. That's more what you need. And I don't think we have that right now.
It's going to be the only time in the history that one man has been promoted, demoted, and promoted again, because we're going to roll into 2026 with BJ Callahan. And that's the only option.
Let's go.
Yeah, tough times. And to my prior point, I like Matt Turner. Those goals were his fault. His biggest problem is that is our deepest position. Like, without a doubt. There's 3 guys behind him that are good, and I'm not even talking about my poor guy Zach Steffen, who can't even get out. And Nick is Greg out, Triple G out. I'm sure we all kind of are deep down, but we're trying to just figure it out for the best of the country. All right, NAFTAA Pod, we are joined by our first, you know me as a Man City fan, we had to be the first one to do this, but our first fan-driven community guests that we've had on the pod, going to talk about their background as being a Man City fan, going to talk about the upcoming match, a little bit about Liverpool, and exactly what the New York Sky Blues do in the community and how you can be a part of it, et cetera, et cetera. Spencer Schwartz of the New York Sky Blues, thank you so much for joining. Welcome to the NAFTAA Podcast.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
We were just chatting beforehand. I kind of told you I've been a bad member of the New York Sky Blues for the past 5 or 6 years. I'll pay every once in a while and then show up only a few times. You are active. You're active with this group. I said, I was like, I went to 2 games and I knew who you were just because you were running around, and I was like, wow, you do everything. So can you kind of outline a little bit of what you do with the New York Sky Blues? And then you mentioned you want the Boulder. Where are you from? How'd you become a Man City fan? I always like kind of getting the origin story too.
Oh, sure. Well, I've been a member for about 10 years now.
Awesome.
New York Sky Blues, back before we were even called the New York Sky Blues. And I run all the social media. I created the website for the club, and I'm just kind of there helping out whenever the chairman is unavailable. So doing raffles, selling merchandise, and all that stuff. Really, it's a great community of people. We have about 430, 440 members this year, which is the most we've ever had.
Wow.
And yeah, just wrangling a lot of cats because someone's got to do it. So I'm happy to volunteer and to be a part of that.
So I've had a great time. I know that you all have met at Amity Hall. There was a couple times this year. Did it switch bars too? That now it was at a couple different places. I know that you've gotten a lot of FAQs about where to go. So just at the top, give the people where they can meet the New York Sky Blues to watch City real quick.
Sure. You know what? I'll just tell you a brief history about us.
Okay, perfect.
The New York Sky Blues are the oldest Manchester City supporters club on this side of the Atlantic. Founded in 2007 by expats. We started out with only 7 people, and we've grown to having over 400 so far. We absolutely grew alongside the club and its successes. And we've been watching games at Amity Hall, which has been our home since 2018. They're at 80 West 3rd Street in Greenwich Village in Manhattan. Previously, we were at the Mad Hatter, which was a bar in Kips Bay in Manhattan. We were there for about 8 or 9 years. And yeah, what really started out as a ragtag group of expats looking to watch City became this huge community and a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We've raised over $120,000 for charity since we started doing so. And this year alone, we've raised over $3,000, which isn't so bad considering it's November right now and the season started in August.
Yep. Yeah, that's actually super impressive too, because I will, like our fans know, I used to be a political fundraiser. It's not the easiest thing to be able to get the 501c3 nonprofit like tag and everything, but
Yeah.
to be 450 people at your height. And I know we're going to get into some of the work that you all have done, but the amount of money that you've been able to raise, I mean, hats off to you all. But sorry for interrupting. I just want to make sure I'm giving some context to some people listening.
No, thank you. That's, it's great to hear these kind words and to see our fundraising going to charities that help locals in the New York City area.
Yeah.
It's been amazing. And my history, I'm born and raised in New York. I'm a Manhattan boy.
Okay.
In fact, the apartment that I've been living in for the last 10 or so years, my local subway stop is literally overlooking the hospital where I was born.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
But I do have family members from Manchester, so I was really born into this. Okay. And it was very funny because before we were bought by Sheikh Mansour in 2008, 2009, everyone was going, "Oh yeah, Manchester United." And I'm like, no, there's a different club. There's a different team there. It's like the Mets and the Yankees.
Yeah.
And after that, Glory Hunter, Johnny Come Lately, Plastic. I have pictures to show that I was there well before that. I still have the jerseys to prove it as well.
Yeah, I find it so interesting as a City fan, and especially you, because your story right there is a little rarer, right? As an American being a City fan, being able to have a connection back in Manchester and being able to say like, no, like I actually had to do the other work where people like, oh, United is like, no, like, look, there's a second team. Not a lot of City fans get to do that. So you've had to fight two battles here. You've had to talk about, hey, we're a real thing and we're legitimate to some Americans. And now you have to also do your typical Manchester City thing where it's like, all right, like I've watched this team before we had money, before Robinho, before Sheikh Mansour, before X, Y, and Z. So you've actually been out there much longer than some of us, for sure.
Yes, but that doesn't make me any more of a fan than someone who
1,000%.
became one last year or even a week ago.
1,000%.
Because I really don't pay much attention or really listen to anyone with an accent that isn't from Manchester talking about me being some sort of glory hunter, Johnny Come Lately. If you're an American, you support Arsenal or Real Madrid or anyone else for that matter, you follow them for a certain reason.
Yep.
And it's because mainly of their success.
Yep.
And so really it's just a matter of which clubs became more successful at what particular point in time, because it is swings and roundabouts. City are really successful right now, but in the 2000s and in the 90s, it was United. Yep. And Arsenal. In the 80s, it was Liverpool. And you could say the same about Real Madrid and Barcelona and Bayern Munich and AC Milan and Inter, all these different clubs. So none of them I've seen have been supporting, I don't know, Real Zaragoza. None of them have been really supporting Burnley or Huddersfield Town.
Yep.
So
exactly.
It's an interesting dichotomy. But what I tell local fans, people from Manchester, because I go over every year, see friends, see family, is at the end of the day, to me at least, from an outsider's perspective, it doesn't matter how long you've been a fan, how big of a fan you are, when you supported the who, what, where, when, and why. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what color shirt do you want to see someone wearing on the street, red or blue? I know what my answer is. And because a lot of these fans from Manchester, they remember the not so great days. They don't because they remember quite viscerally the not so glorious years, being the second fiddle to United. There is a healthy cynicism amongst fans who aren't from that area. And I think rightfully so. But my thing is, if you're a fan, even if, 20 years, 30 years, or even from yesterday, we should embrace them, bring them in, and tell them about our history. Tell them about what makes City so special. Because if you don't bring them into your culture, they're going to create one all their own.
Yep.
And then it's going to be a total clash. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think too, and this past summer, we were fortunate enough to do a couple of these podcasts with other pods for other teams. So we did one with Bournemouth. We did one with Newcastle, did one with Palace as well. And those three especially were people from the UK. And I think one of the things that we got to talk about was the commitment for an American fan to be a fan. They get to watch things in prime time. They get to watch things in a normal time span. If you're on the West Coast and you're waking up for that 7:45 East Coast game, you're waking up at 4 to be able to watch this. And I think that there needs to be,
or you're staying up all night.
Exactly. There needs to be a level of, and everyone on the pods that I got to talk to were great about it. They're like, hey, we're super impressed. We love when Americans come over here and know about football, know enough about it to hold the conversation and be a part of it. And again, like you said, inviting people in needs to be kind of the culture of it and everything. And it was refreshing just to be able to hear that, because I do feel like when you're an American and you're a fan of football in Europe, you have to essentially in the first 5 minutes show your credentials. And it feels terrible. It's the worst. And having those conversations just made me feel so much better about it, for sure.
That's why whenever I'll put it to you like this. When I first started going to the Mad Hatter to watch City matches with what was then known as the Hatter Blues, there were a few people there who just saw me looking like a lost puppy, just being so intimidated. And they brought me in under their wing and made me feel welcome. And I've tried to pay that forward ever since as a member of the steering committee. And the thing is, if I ask the question, oh, what made you a City fan? I always make sure to say, this is not a judging question. I'm not judging you on this. It could be for any reason. It could be because, I don't know, you like Oasis or New Order, or because you watched the Amazon Prime All or Nothing documentary. Or you watched Ted Lasso. I don't know. Or you played FIFA and you liked the team, or you follow a certain player. It really doesn't matter. As long as you're a fan, come on in. We'll make sure you feel welcome.
For sure. So I want to transition just a little bit into what's currently going on with this City team. Obviously, if you're a fan starting last year, man, what a great first year to be a Manchester City fan, right?
It doesn't get much better than that.
It literally doesn't. This year, I think that there was definitely valid reasons for maybe a bit of a drop off or a letdown. And, as always, I think we kind of find ourselves at top of the table, but in that top 4 and that top 3 around this time, we usually have a great run during the winter and win a bunch of games in a row. We are coming up against a familiar foe of the past 5 years. And everyone that's listening knows Michael, my brother on here, a Liverpool fan. We've done so many of these podcasts before these games. There is a lot that we can talk about this. I want to first get your take on what you were super excited about with this new team this season. What new signings, it's hard. Like I mentioned, we just want to treble. What are you looking forward? The next year is kind of a hard question to answer, but what was that for you this season?
Well, that's a really interesting question. And I kind of look at it from an older supporter's perspective, which is I'm enjoying the ride as long as it lasts, because I remember when it wasn't so great. When reaching 6th or 7th place was, an incredible year for us. So, enjoying the ride is one thing for sure, but with money and with success come heightened expectations, obviously. So in terms of changes in the squad, obviously seeing Gundogan go was really tough. He was our first signing for Pep Guardiola. And he was just always so immense. People forget that he was our top goal scorer in the 2019-20 season. Yep. And how clutch he was for us in the FA Cup final last year. He scored in 12 seconds. And not to mention the 2 goals against Aston Villa in 2021, I think it was.
Yep.
That was just unbelievable. And his that kind of leadership is absolutely missed. But we do have a newer crop of younger players, including Ruben Diaz, who's been great in the back, and he's been a really fantastic leader. Kyle Walker has been our de facto captain this season. So, when you lose a player as big as Gundo, you have to find someone to either pick up the pieces or to sign a new player. And I've been so excited by Jeremy Doku. He has been such a breath of fresh air, and he's just such a dynamic player and perfect for this system. Usually our new signings take about a year or so to really break in. Yeah. Because they're usually coming to a new country with a new language and Pep Guardiola's system, which changes almost every year. And it's very hard to see a player hit the ground running. Last year we had that with Haaland, who was just unreal. And Doku looks like he's that player this season who's just hitting the ground running, not needing the full year. People forget that Rodri needed a year and a half or so. Riyad Mahrez, same thing. So Grealish, many of our players. Yeah. Exactly. How many people are calling Grealish a bust? Yeah. And with newer players like Matthias Nunes and Mateo Kovacic, you're seeing that as well. Yeah. Some players just need the transition, others don't. I
think that's we've brought this. I've brought this point up a few times on the pod, and I think that it's spot on that this is the first crop of new signings that have had to play this much ever for Pep. And you have 2 with Guardiola and Doku that now you kind of can't leave them off the team sheet, which is amazing. That means that they're adapting faster than you'd expect. I think sometimes in the back, I'm like, oh man, he does some interesting things that I don't want him to do. But Doku for sure. I mean, he's really put his place in there. And I know that our Wolves fan here, Dylan, likes to kind of rag on Nunez a bit because he's not getting to play. But I try to tell him he's playing more than, like you mentioned, Mahrez did that first year. Grealish did that first year. I know injuries are kind of pushing some of this too, but at the same time, I feel confident that next year with these people we've brought in now, we're even deeper than we were expecting to be. So I do think that's a really, really great point.
Well, it's an interesting thing as well, because last year we actually didn't have as big a squad as most people would have thought. And this season, we didn't just lose Gundo, we lost Cole Palmer, we lost Aymeric Laporte, we lost a lot of our academy players, Mahrez, a lot of our academy players as well left. So, with these injuries, as you said, we've always had issues with international breaks and injuries. And we saw that this week with Haaland, who re-injured his ankle. And Rodri had a knock. Ederson had a knock. Nunez and of course Kevin De Bruyne, who's been out for a long time. And but I will say about De Bruyne, when we went on that incredible run in the 2018-19 season, starting around Christmas time, most of that was done while Kevin De Bruyne was out injured. Exactly. And not to say that he's not one of our best players and one of the best players in the world. It's really interesting to see how well City can adapt without him. And we've seen it time and time again. We saw that, I think, 2 years ago. We had quite a run without him as well. By the way, Kev, please get back soon. But,
exactly.
But it goes to show an embarrassment of riches, sure. And in our depth in our squad, which is something that sadly Liverpool found out the hard way in the last year or so.
Yeah, I think that's a great transition. You're a natural at this. B, I do want to mention too, I think one of your initial points about losing Gundo, it didn't help that when you have a leader in the midfield, you sometimes look at the next guy up, and that first game KDB went down. And I think not just his skill obviously is what is missed. I do think that being able to play under Company before, being able to play under David Silva before, being able to play under Gundo, I think it was a natural next step for him to kind of be the person everyone looked to leadership wise. And that was part of the adaptation this year too, is like, all right, we don't have our guy that we had last year. We also now don't have the guy that we probably thought was going to be the de facto voice in the midfield to help everyone get organized and figure it out. And I think that Rodri obviously coming in, he's that voice now, but that was something that was going to be desperately missed at the beginning of this year as well. And we've adjusted a little bit. Liverpool though, because you made the transition. It was on point. Man, the past 5 years have been a ton of fun, a ton of stress. With these games being as big as they've been in the past 5 years, and you being so involved in this community, what are some of the emotions you think back on in some of these games? How do you normally feel going into playing a Liverpool team? Because again, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. We are pretty pessimistic when it comes to our sports teams. When I go in there, I am doom and gloom, man. I'm like, man, I don't know if we can, contain Salah. Van Dijk's tough in the back. How are we going to beat this? How do you approach these? What has it been? What's the atmosphere been like as well at some of these get-togethers for the New York Sky Blues as well?
Well, two things. First of all, as a Knicks fan, I can certainly empathize.
Yeah, exactly.
But the other thing is, I remember the days when City were not winning all the time. And so there is something to be said about no matter how big City gets, no matter how successful City gets, no matter how wealthy City gets, the idea of typical City never quite leaves you. And for those of you who don't know, but could probably tell from the context, typical City is, having 70% possession and shooting all the time and then losing 1-0 from one counter. It's playing incredibly well against Real Madrid and then losing to Bournemouth the next week. Exactly. With Liverpool, it's an interesting thing because last year we saw they had a lot of injuries. Klopp was, as incredible a manager as he is, he showed that he could be quite set in his ways and unwilling to change. And the moment that he did, which was just around Christmas time or the New Year, and once he started to get some of his big players back, we saw an incredible improvement. In the last 19 games, they had just around the same amount of points as Arsenal did, which is really something to be said. So don't count them out. I certainly would not. That said, with us, it's kind of taken the place of the Manchester Derby because in certain ways, to someone like me, the Derby is just the most important match of the season because it's a point of pride because we were their success was lorded over us, for years. They had a banner at Old Trafford, denoting how many years we went without a trophy. So, for us, for many of the older fans, that's personal, but with Liverpool, to the newer crop of fans, they've kind of become that. And there's no doubt that they're an incredible side. And I kind of liken it to, the Beatles and the Beach Boys, how they said that they used to push each other and drive each other to be as good as they were back in the 60s, as a music guy. And yeah, I mean, if not for Liverpool, City would not have gotten 99 points in that one year that they got 98. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Utterly ridiculous. And we've beaten them. We won the Premier League with them in second place by a matter of maybe 1 point, 2 points, 3 points in 2014, 2019, and then 2021. I mean, that is insane.
My brother brings up too, you can actually get even more specific. We beat them by 2 millimeters because if John Stones doesn't clear the ball off the line, that's a point for them and they end up winning the league there too. So like it's gone back and it's been so intense. And I do agree though. I think younger fans for sure of both teams look at this match as the most important match in the Premier League now. Obviously respect to Arsenal last year and now this year too. But there has been what's been refreshing. And again, my brother being a Liverpool fan, love each other. Like we do this every week and we don't live in the same area. He's, in Columbus, but there's been a mutual respect for both teams and the teammates there. And I know that Kevin De Bruyne and Virgil van Dijk are actually really good friends. Like I think that being able to know that you're competing against a team, but at the back of my mind, I actually really like Jurgen Klopp and I actually really like Mo Salah. And the year that he broke out, I loved everything that they were doing and it make you twinge. But for me, I was like, this team's too damn likable for me, but I want to beat them. I always want to beat them. So
I don't want to get I don't want to become too much of a bird here. So I'll bite my tongue about a few things there, but they are a really entertaining side. I will give you that. Klopp's heavy metal football is just ridiculous. The thing is, as we saw last year, if you don't have a deep enough squad, they're going to be tired out really quick and they're going to get a lot of injuries. And they are, just like us, victims of their own success in the sense that, for example, with the international break right now, how many of their players have been called up? How many of their players have been called up in the last 5 years? So they're playing even more games, just like us, just like our players. So that makes the players even more injury prone. So for the upcoming game, first of all, it's a 7:30 a.m. game after Thanksgiving. So, kudos to anyone who's going to be going to a bar to watch that.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
especially our friends on the West Coast. My God. But I think we're going to get a pretty decent turnout at Amity Hall. Awesome. I would certainly hope so. It really depends on if we on the weather. It depends on how many people leave to go home from New York because so many people who live in New York aren't originally from here. Just things like that. And no,
you're good.
I'm a little nervous about this one because they've shown what they could do. And after what happened with Spurs, they have a siege mentality, us against the world. They feel like everyone's out to get them, especially the referees, even though, Liverpool has always been a thing, at least in the minds of many City supporters.
For sure.
But yeah, it just goes to show.
I think that, again, you hit the nail right on the head. My brother's excited for this one. He said there's no better coach to galvanize a team after that Tottenham game than Klopp. I think he was pumped about that. They're coming in, I will say, in a little bit better form than we are. As entertaining as that Chelsea match was, it was pull your hair out style, stress, and whatnot. I'll set you up for success here before I let you take the floor on some of the amazing work that your organization is doing in the New York community, for sure.
Well, I will say one last thing about the Liverpool thing, which is that they have also dropped points this season, just like us.
Sure.
And most recently against Luton Town away.
For sure.
I mean, that should have been a win for them.
Absolutely.
And there have been a few games where they have dropped points. And the other thing is, while our for all the talk of Anfield being this fortress, our home record has been absolutely stellar as of recently.
Yeah.
City have won, I think, something like 23 straight games at the SES. Yeah. And they haven't lost at home in a full calendar year against Brentford in November of last year. So that really has to come into the forefront of, the City faithful are gonna show up. They're gonna be loud. They're gonna try and make that as intimidating a place for Liverpool as possible. So hopefully they don't attack anyone's bus or anything like but deep shot. Sorry, no. You could edit that one out. But it really should be said that we have a home advantage, and we need to take advantage. We need to use that to our advantage.
For sure.
And hopefully players like John Stones, Erling Haaland, Rodri, Ederson are all back and ready to go.
So I was going to, when I said I was going to set you up for success, I kind of wanted to just tick off who I'm pretty sure is not going to be at this match, because I wanted to get your take on, hey, when I'm watching this is a person I'm going to be paying attention to. This is someone that I think is going to step up for us. I'm hoping Stones is back as well. It did kind of say in the last thing I saw a little late November, which I think we're missing him also. Last year was incredible. Last report I saw with Haaland is that it was just a re-injury. He should be fine by the time we get back. Is there someone in the squad, and you can even say Jeremy Doku like you did before, but is there someone in the squad going into this game against Liverpool that you're like, man, when he has the ball or when he's directing traffic or et cetera, I feel comfortable and I'm going to be looking to him to be kind of our leader out there this coming weekend?
Rodri.
Yeah.
Answer. I mean, Erling Haaland obviously got all the plaudits, all the praise last year for his record-breaking goal scoring season. I mean, that was just insane, right? But I think our MVP is Rodri. Yeah. We look lost without him. Sure. And we saw that when he was out with that red card earlier this season. It's clear right now, hopefully it changes, that Calvin Phillips isn't quite up to it yet. And a lot of those players in that defensive mid position haven't quite got into that point yet. Mm-hmm. Rodri has been incredible in ways that Fernandinho even hasn't been in the similar position, because he's really quarterbacking the whole thing. He is that perfect transitory player from defense to offense.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have players like Bernardo Silva and Jeremy Doku who could run up and down the pitch and just take part in the full 90. It's truly incredible to watch. So I think those are our key players when it comes to just City in general this season.
Yeah.
Not just Liverpool. But I'm curious to see how Pep will line up against the current side because, for example, Grealish hasn't been playing all that much because of Doku's breakout, season so far. That's not to say that Jack Grealish isn't an incredible player who absolutely has a place in the squad because he does. What do we do with Alvarez? What do we do with Foden, Bernardo Silva, all these players? And then in the back, Ake's injured right now, but he has been a stellar player for us all of last year. I mean, he really, really was a key part of our treble win. Same with Stones.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, I think Rodri is my number one player to watch. Hopefully Haaland will be back. But the interesting thing I've seen about Haaland this year is the way he's been played, which is last year he was unstoppable. He was this goal scoring force. Not to say he hasn't scored a bunch of goals this season, but he's being used in a different way because every team's defenders, they're double teaming him, they're triple teaming him in anticipation of him getting a ball and trying to score. But that opens up the likes of Foden and all these other players. So he's being used almost as bait to open up other players, which is absolutely genius of Pep Guardiola. It's just up to the other players to convert on those chances. And we saw with the Chelsea match, I mean, their keeper was unbelievable. He was making save after save, but you got to convert those chances.
Sure. For sure. I do think it has opened the floor for one of just my favorite City players at the moment, which is Julian Alvarez. I love watching him play. I feel like he pops up in the right moments. And I know that when we were doing a little preview for this, I did mention, watch out for him. I could see him getting his first goal against Liverpool this season. Also, to build off your point, incredible to think the Champions League final against Chelsea, Rodri, an unused substitute. Insane. We'd have never, if you ask anyone that trivia question, I don't think many people would get that because now he's such a stalwart in the club. So as always, I know that the Liverpool game will be incredible. It'll be nerve-wracking, but it's always fun to go up against them. What I want to be able to give you some time on too is, like I said, I know that the New York Sky Blues as an organization, as a nonprofit, has done some incredible work here in New York City area. I told you off camera, I was like, I wanted to kind of give a little summary of like what you guys have done, but there's so much that you have done that it was hard for me to like narrow down. Can you kind of tell us what you guys are most proud of that you've accomplished in the community so far, and maybe some of the things that you're hoping to help out with in the future and dive into kind of moving forward as well?
Well, that's really kind. Thank you. We've been a 501c3 nonprofit organization since 2019. So that's 12 years into our being an official supporters club. And we've donated over $120,000 to charity, primarily to City in the Community, which is the New York City FC branch of Man City's nonprofit organization charity over in Manchester, helping to pay for underprivileged kids in the New York City area to get soccer football training, paying for their kits and coaching time, coaches, and those incredible things. But recently we've been, since COVID, we've primarily been benefactor of the New York Common Pantry, which is an incredible organization helping to fight food inequity and food insecurity in the New York City tri-state area. And that helps feed people who are in need, clothe them. There are showers at their facilities, helping them with job interviews, getting people back on their feet. And that's something that is really important to all of us. We also have donated a lot of money to fight ALS, or for those of you in England, that's motor neuron disease, MND, or better known in the States as Lou Gehrig's disease. One of our founding members, Steve Jepson, or Jeppa, he passed away in 2017 of ALS at the age of 50. And he died about 2 years after his diagnosis. It was very, very fast, thankfully, actually. And we've donated a lot of money to help fight ALS and to help his family with helping him get the care that he needed, getting his place wheelchair accessible, things like that. And that's what I'm most proud of as a member of the New York Sky Blues. The fact that, sure, we go to a bar and we watch soccer and we get drunk, but there's a community, and we look after each other, and we look out for our own, and that's really what it's all about. And while I've always loved City, I don't think I would have loved it half as much if not for the people in this incredible supporters club. Truly,
that's amazing. I think that for us, and I don't mean to cut you off there, but one of the things that you guys exemplify very, very well is something that my brother and I talk about on this pod a lot, about our envy of kind of being born into fandom in the UK, because it's a small community. They're usually teams, every small town, every whatever has a team there. It's a little bit different than the United States, where we grew up an hour and 45 minutes from Cleveland, but we're Cleveland fans. Whereas, I was fortunate enough when I went to London, I walked to the Fulham Stadium. I was like, man, this is a neighborhood. This is awesome. And I think that there is a really great and easy way for clubs to be involved in the community. Whereas here, you got to put forth the effort. And I think some of the things that you just outlined beautifully do that. And I think that, if that is a reason why you got into watching English football or European football, is because there's that community atmosphere, there's that community vibe. This is a really, really great way to be involved with a team that you love, but also add in that community atmosphere that in the United States, you just don't get to have. You don't get to, see the players go work at a homeless shelter or a pantry or a soup kitchen like you would if they were here in the US. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but what you were kind of outlaying is one of the reasons why I started getting so into, European football and English soccer for sure, is man, there's just that community aspect that can't be replicated here, it seems like.
Well, a lot of professional sports teams in the US now have some sort of foundation, which is fantastic. And we've seen that here in New York City with the Garden of Dreams Foundation, which is Madison Square Garden's foundation. And now with New York City in the community. But I also want to give a shout out to Arsenal NYC. They're the Arsenal Supporters Club here in New York, because they had a fundraiser which also was raising money for the New York Common Pantry, and we were very proud to have donated a signed Arsenal shirt for them to auction off for that. And another shout out to the Garden State Blues, the Man City Supporters Club in New Jersey. We actually volunteered together at the New York Common Pantry during COVID around Christmas time. and they're doing great work, as well as the Twin Citizens in the Twin Cities up north. And I saw that they had just raised a lot of money for a local charity there as well. So there are ways to get involved and to feel like, oh, even to justify, yeah, I'm getting drunk at 7:30 in the morning watching my favorite club, but it's really for charity. It's for charity.
Exactly. So how does one become a member of the New York Sky Blues? And then even more importantly, to your earlier point about we want to welcome everyone in. If you're in the New York City area and you are a fan of Brighton, but you want to be part of the New York Common Pantry fundraiser that you all may be doing or help you guys raise money, how does one also become involved in, or be aware of some of the things that you guys are doing in the community?
Well, I will say that one of the privileges of living in New York City is that there is pretty much a supporters club for most clubs in Europe. Even ones that haven't quite seen the success that they might have seen in the past, like Blackburn Rovers or Norwich. You'll see. We're actually quite good friends with the Brentford Supporters Club. So social media is a great way to see if there's a community of supporters, no matter who you support in your local area. For us, you can become a member by going to newyorkskyblues.com, and it will tell you exactly how to become a member. It tells you all about our history and our charity work and so much more. And if you're just visiting, you can come down to Amity Hall downtown at 80 West 3rd Street in Greenwich Village in Manhattan, and come out for a match and follow us at New York Sky Blues on all social media platforms, even TikTok. And got to remain on fleek or something. I don't know. How do you do, fellow kids? And just keep a lookout, because we always have match day events going on. And if you become a member, you'll be a part of a really great community of people. Doesn't matter if you come once a year or every game. There's something in it for everybody. And we do have special events that are members only, that are really cool. And like in the past, we've had the trophies come. Like the Premier League trophies come. We've had some player meet and greets in the past. I remember in 2014, there was a members only training session with the Man City Academy that was done in New York, which was really cool.
That's awesome.
Just things like that. And I would imagine that other supporters clubs will have that kind of outreach from their clubs as well, especially in places as big as New York.
It's
can't
usually
say the same about Cleveland, no offense, but
no, none taken. It's usually the first stop for a lot of clubs that want to start expanding into the US, unless you're Wrexham, then you go to LA.
Or Philly.
Yeah, true. Very true. I definitely want to build on the point before I let you go here. It is a fun time going to Amity Hall for the entire family. I mentioned I went to 2 games, the second being the game against Tottenham in the Champions League, where I ended up not moving on. I had my mom with me, and she could care less about soccer, football. As a mother who hangs out in small town Ohio, we went to this bar around midday, and she's like, "This is amazing. Like, all these people are here. Why are all these people like?" And there were so many goals in that game. There's so many swings of emotion that
there was one that mattered, and it didn't count, sadly.
Yeah, well, there's also a couple of handball things, if I remember, a couple fouls in there.
Yeah.
But I will say, ringing endorsement from me for my times getting to hang out with you all. It is a ton of fun, and you guys do it the right way. Spencer, thank you so much for jumping on and joining. I hope that if we do have any local city listeners, you're going to become a member, and we'll see you out at some of the get-togethers and watch some of the matches. Thank you, man.
Well, we hope to see you there too. Come
Yeah.
more often. Come on.
I will. I know it's tough doing this at Thanksgiving. So I'm like, I'll go to the next one. I was like, I probably can't make the next one. But after that, I will show up and I will look right for you, and then we can meet in person and grab a beer for charity.
Holiday fixtures. Fixtures.
Yes, big time. Spencer, thank you so much, man. Okay, let's get into predictions for this week. We are coming back off of the international break. Big match week. Big match week for the boys. Let's give a quick update. Michael is still holding strong, top of our table, 72-48. Nick, 68-52. I am 67-53. Dylan, back-to-back. Oh, no, never mind. Sorry. One decent week. Sorry. 61-59, still above 500. I thought you had the back-to-backers, and I just saw the 2-8, which I think we all shared that 1 week. Regardless,
Nope.
We got to get back on form here. I think all of us just came off of subpar showings the past 2 weeks. Michael, Whitaker Brother Derby coming up, first game of the week. Are you able to give any thoughts on this match without talking about the start time?
No.
Cool. All right, City hosting Liverpool, first match of the week. It'll be an early
What time,
one.
John?
12:30 in the UK.
7:30 here.
7:30 here. 12:30.
You know what? Actually, this is what I'll say. I think this is one of us is gonna be at least a little bit happy. One of us might be really happy because it's a 7:30. Ohio State, Michigan starts at noon, so they're letting us get both games in, not overlapping at all, which is nice.
True.
So I think this was actually just for our benefit.
Yeah.
Darwin Nunez just scored again against Bolivia. He has 2 goals on the day. So I'm gonna obviously back my boys, Liverpool. Let's go.
Real quick, U.S. men's national team might beat Bolivia. I want to just rehash a prior statement. They might beat Bolivia.
Not how they just played.
True. Michael's back in Liverpool. You love to see it. I'm obviously back in City, and I do think that you hit the nail right on the head. I think if I get out of here with a draw, I feel good. Truly. That's how I feel.
At home?
Well, we all know that the empty hat is not the fortress that Anfield is. So you gotta take your wins where they come. Dylan?
I think we're going to find out how good Liverpool's midfield actually is, and for some reason, I can't give you anything for why I'm doing this pick, but it's in my gut. I'm taking Liverpool. I don't know why. I just feel I just feel it. It's for some reason I just feel it.
That's fine. Based on the record, Michael, you can have Dylan. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll
come on.
I'll pick this up for. I'll pick up this this for Michael here, just based purely on start time and who's the home team. I'm just taking City.
Yeah,
and that is the smart pick.
Yeah, and if this game was at Liverpool, at Anfield, I would probably take Liverpool. I think whoever's home wins this game right now. But the 12:30 takes it to the Blues.
Jokes aside, the early start for Liverpool is kind of crazy. How often this happens to you guys?
Every time, dude.
Burnley hosting West Ham. Dylan, who you got in this one?
I'll take West Ham. Burnley stinks.
Burnley does stink. Nick, who you got?
Yeah, we're gonna stick with the Hammers because what Dylan said, Burnley stinks.
Michael?
I got West Ham. Always.
Hammer down. I think we're 4 for 4 West Ham on this one. Luton, another team that does stink, but respectfully scrappy is what I'm going to start calling Luton, especially at home. Respectfully scrappy. They're hosting Palace. And this is going to be a tougher pick than we would have originally thought. Nick, who you got?
Yeah, I was. Luton's been playing they've been a tough out. We'll say that the last month or so, especially at home. But I think Palace will have enough just to get it done because Luton's Luton. It's more of not what Palace can do; it's more what Luton can.
Yeah, Michael.
I'm doing it strictly for the memes here, but I kind of think it's true. Luton got out of the relegation zone, didn't have to play a game. That's a big bump. I got Luton winning this one at home.
The momentum can't be stopped. Michael's got Luton. I'm gonna stick with Palace. Most likely my second team if I didn't have to pick between all of our choices here. Dylan?
As Annalise Cook, give me Palace.
Palace. Newcastle hosting Chelsea. Big draw for Chelsea. Might as well have been a win in their eyes against City prior to this. Newcastle in and out of form. Nick, who you got in this one?
I am begrudgingly taking Chelsea.
Ooh.
I think that big confidence game versus City, I do think that they're starting to figure it out a little bit. And even though Newcastle at home is a really, really difficult place to play, I think, unfortunately, Chelsea's starting to sizzle a little bit.
The game's at Tyneside. I got Newcastle. Michael?
John, I will give you a chance because I had this same thought. I thought Nick was crazy. Newcastle do have a fuckload of injuries.
Yeah.
No.
Like the whole starting 11.
I don't care.
Okay. I kind of respect it. I'll go Newcastle too then.
Dylan?
I'm going to hold my nose. Chelsea.
Oh, no. Forest, Brighton. It's at Forest. I got Brighton in this one. Michael, who you got?
I'm a man of my word. I'm off the wagon. I'm done with Brighton. I got Nottingham Forest at home.
Oh, that's a big pick. Dylan?
I think Brighton figure it out. Give me Brighton.
Nick?
I was in the same boat as Michael. Forest hasn't lost a home game since August, and Brighton hasn't won an away game since September 16th. So I'm going to take a draw, actually, because I do think Brighton is... We all know the community ground is a tough place to play, but Brighton ain't Brighton. We're going with a draw.
Whenever Nick starts pulling out stats, I know a draw is coming right afterwards. Sheffield's hosting Bournemouth. Michael, who you got?
Give me the cherries up the Craigs all the way.
Up the
Love
Craigs. Dylan?
I'm going to go with the tie.
Also a good match to tie. Nick?
Yeah, let's go with the Fighting Craigs.
I got the Fighting Craigs as well. Brentford hosting Arsenal. Dylan?
Brentford gives Arsenal fits for some reason, so I kind of want to take Brentford, but just because I have Arsenal winning the league, I can't let this happen, so I'll be taking Arsenal. But don't be shocked. Just want to throw it out there.
Closer than the experts think.
Yeah.
Nick?
Kai Havertz at left back with the game winner.
He also blew. You know, he also blew it for them being in left back too with a penalty. Just
I'm sure
there.
he did. No, but
Okay.
I'm taking the Gooners.
Yeah, I got Arsenal as well. Michael?
I got Arsenal. I'm not even gonna fuck around with all this talk.
Spurs hosting Villa. I think this is a really, really good game. I think if it's not City Liverpool this week, Spurs Villa would have been game of the week for sure. But I think the Disco Ground's back. They gotta bounce back from a couple of tough results. I got Spurs. Nick, who you got?
This is just a strict gut feeling because Villa obviously struggles away, but I'm taking Villa.
Like it, Michael.
I will take my points because Villa are bad away. I got Spurs.
Dylan.
The wheels on the bus keep falling off, falling off, falling off. I'll take Villa.
Let's go.
There it is. Nick, you're gonna have to experience the point deduction bounce here. Everton hosting Man United. Are you guys gonna survive?
As any good United fan does, I'm going to live on the past and the history and the laurels and not worry about what's right in front of me. United has only lost 3 matches to Everton in their last 23 matches dating back to October of 2014. So a smart man would pick a draw, and I said a smart man. I am not one of them. I'll take United to win.
I got United as well. Michael?
Everton weirdly bad at home, so I got Man United.
You guys are all morons. The crowd is going to be 100% behind them. United, meh. Everton, meh. Everton with point deduction, fans behind them, good. Give me Everton.
The only way this would have been better if it was Everton City. Just first game after the deduction.
I would like to say that there is a 50-50 shot that we are down 2-0 under 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's actually so. Can you bet that?
Yeah.
You can
Do it. I think that's a guarantee.
I can find it.
We're definitely going down 1-0. Like we're not. Everything Dylan talked about and the way we're playing this year, conceding. We're giving up a goal in the first 10 minutes. Not even a question.
Dylan, Fulham hosting Wolves. Another kind of good game. You guys got a chance to win this one for sure. Despite the last game out. Who you got?
So Polina's out, if you didn't know that.
Positive.
Raul,
Thank you.
Raul got his goal last game, so he can't score the first one against us.
Positive.
But the negative is that Dama's back, and he hasn't scored yet. So I'm going to take a tie because when we beat a good team, we give points back. And I would love to say we're going to win, but we probably won't.
Have you listened to the Whole Lot of Wolves podcast? Have they had someone on that just complains for an hour and a half? Because that's usually the death kiss for you guys.
No, the Fulham guy this week came on saying, I heard you guys call us lowly Fulham, and it pissed me off. We're going to handle you guys easily. So, he came in very confident.
Love that.
And then goes, but Polina's out. So,
Nick, who you got?
I did a little research for Dylan. Wolves, Fulham in the Premier League, super boring. 8 of the last 10
Also
matches. 8 of the last 10 matches under 2 goals. So the last 6 have been 3 1-1s, 1 0-0, and 2 1-0s. Fulham Wolves in the Championship, fireworks, absolute fireworks. A couple 5-0s in there, a few 4-4s, pretty legit. But I'm taking Wolves considering how they've been pipping games at the end with a 1-0 W.
I feel like Nick's just auditioning to be our version of Lee Corso.
yeah.
Just talking.
Hold on. Wait,
The
just
stats
on that
didn't
real quick.
relate.
Yeah, they did.
I swear to God, I didn't do this to check Nick's homework because I was curious about past matchups. The 5-0 happened in the Premier League.
Who won that game? I'm assuming Fulham. We don't score 5 goals.
Yeah, Fulham did.
yeah, that sounds about right.
The only 5-0 happened
All right.
in the Premier.
In 2012. I'm sorry. I missed one way back over 11 years ago. My apologies.
It was one of the ones you said though.
I don't disagree.
It was one of the ones you couldn't afford to miss.
Again, I said smart men do things. I'm not one of them. So let's just.
Michael, who you got?
Dylan was sheepish on the win. Went safe with the draw. I will take his confidence and roll with it. I got the Wolves.
I'm right there with you. Hand across the finish line. I got Wolves as well. All right, predictions in. Dylan, what bets you got for us going into this weekend? It's a little easier for you because you get to bet on things closer to when they actually happen.
Yeah, this is a little helpful. I kept it simple this week. However, I will say, in terms of making a ridiculous parlay, I kind of love the board with some of our picks. So look for it in between our 10-game parlay gets made after I'm a little wine drunk on Thanksgiving. But there's some easy ones out there, in my opinion, which means they're going to be hard. Brighton is still plus money. They're plus 120. Don't overthink it. Take Brighton. We talked about Everton. This is where I'm probably screwed, but I've never been more confident in Everton in my life than going into this week. They're at plus 175. We'll be taking them. Then I'm going to be taking a double chance of a tie or Liverpool winning at plus 110, so cover myself a little bit in case it ends up being a tie. But again, that at plus money, kind of feel good there. And then the last two, MLS playoffs, semifinals, I'm going to give a little bit of a shout out, and we will be taking your Columbus Crew to beat Orlando at plus 185. I think they can make some noise. And finally, you might have been wondering this whole time, and I'm sure you haven't, why I've been wearing the Udell hat I stole from John. In case you people who don't follow the FCS, first round of the playoffs this weekend, and we have a Tucker Derby. where it is UDEL hosting Lafayette in the first round. The odds are not out yet. However, whatever the spread is, absolutely put your mortgage on Delaware. They are going to wipe the floor with Lafayette.
I would just like to respond to that quickly. Is my history was reminded to me by our father, because he very clearly gave me all the reasons why they think Lafayette's gonna win. And it's
Is it that last time you played us, it was 49-0?
It's the fact that we have about 25-year-olds on the roster still.
Built different.
COVID.
But yeah, I guess I'm terrified. It could but this is very much going to be a slaughter. So, Dad was. Oh yeah, come on! Like there's like Lafayette Division I speed, and then there's like Delaware speed, and then there's obviously Dylan and I already talked about this though. Like it's going to be. Like I'm taking. If there's a line, I'm taking the line.
We have the speed of whoever the Remember Titans end up beating. Just assume Lafayette's not Remember Titans, and we're the team that's doing shotgun that they've never seen before.
But if Lafayette wins, I will be saying I knew it all the way along the whole time.
I didn't know you guys were playing each other in football because Dylan, I didn't know if you knew. December 2nd, OU Delaware basketball. So
yeah, we'll have some wagers on there. The team's 4-0. Delaware's
decent.
Decent sport year. The women just won the volleyball CAA championship. Like, we're cruising.
Love it. All right, get us out of here with a joke.
All right, boys. Let's see. What do I have planned tonight? So, did you guys know that I tried starting a soccer club actually recently? Because I put some posters on a local bulletin board in Hoboken just to get the ball rolling. Cheers.
The NAFTAA Podcast.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.